it's going to be our last topic. It's not like a real topic. It's something that we discussed in the group chat that I know is going to be divisive. So therefore, I want to bring it out into the show, guys.
Hater.
I made the point, okay, that PBC is the only, quote, promotional, because they're not really a true promoter, but we're going to throw them in with promoters for this conversation, air quote, promotional entity that has actually been successful this year and is not struggling. The ones we're categorizing in this discussion, obviously, Matchroom, Top Rank, Golden Boy, and Frank Warren with Queensberry Promotions. Now, I know me saying that, I'm going to repeat what I said just because people might misheard it.
You need to define struggling.
Okay, I will.
Financially, competitively, as in their fighters in matchups, or what? What do you mean?
Those two, as well as, let's say, overall main fighters, star fighters losing big fights. Well, that does matter. It does matter. Let's say any sort of, or to that degree, like if your main fighter is having maybe lawsuits against you, maybe not a great year for you, maybe a little bit struggling there. It's defined by a litany of criteria that I think we all kind of know.
Not providing content for both of your networks, that kind of thing as well.
I mean, you can add that in there, sure. You can add that in there, sure, if you want. Because for the same way, not the same exact way, but similar. The discussion of Matchroom having too many of their guys go to different markets and sort of sacrificing actual primetime UK fights, right? Like we talked about this before, like their big UK pay-per-views aren't really there like they were in last year, right? So similar vein, you can absolutely bring that up with PBC, with Showtime and Fox not getting equal treatment. That's a fine criticism. But all those, piled in a big stew, I think it's clear that PBC is the one that is the most successful this year so far. Probably Matchroom right behind them. And then maybe Golden Boy, but those two could be flipped with a very easy argument. And then clearly it would be Frank Warren and Top Rank battling it out for last place with the most struggling promoter this year. Right? That's how I sort of view the range of these promoters and where they place and who's being successful this year, who is struggling. Now, Rob, Fu, whoever wants to jump in here and have this debate with me, feel free. Maybe you want to agree with me, make other points, go for it.
Well, I would say you're potentially right with your list, but I wouldn't say it's been a fantastic year for boxing. So
I would absolutely agree with that.
So struggling, doing well in a struggling
but
landscape, or whatever the word is.
A changing landscape. Let's say that, because it's a fluid and changing landscape in this sort of transition to the streaming era.
Yeah, I think you brought this terms of the game we're playing, as in big stars losing. There's only one big star in the sport that has lost. So
you can say like Keith Thurman lost.
Canelo, yeah, he's a big star, is he?
He was a PBC star. Like I think about like in terms of their TV numbers, he's the guy that did the second best numbers for them.
What, 5 years ago when they did a unification?
3 years ago. Actually, no, 2 years ago, 2017, right? Or 16. Was it 16 to 17?
I mean, just from yesterday.
I know, but I'm trying to remember now. But again, like you can make arguments. Like again, I'm not making this out to be like, hey, this is the dogmatic answer. PBC is awesome. Everyone else is struggling. No, there's obviously examples like Coach Mitty bring up a good one. Jamal Charlo having an off year. Jamel Charlo having an off year. Jared Hurd having an off year, right? Like there are examples we can bring up for PBC struggling. Of course, I'm not making it seem like it's a monolith of them being successful, but I think overall, if you look at the landscape, to Rob's first point, look at the money sort of events that have been huge. PBC has surprisingly been successful in this pay-per-view market.
But isn't that a sign that they haven't got the money to pay these fighters without it? So there's been a
I don't know if that's necessarily struggling though.
Kind of financially.
No, because
to make these fights, having a big stable like this and trying to pit them against each other means they've charged they've made the public pay for it.
Yeah, but you can make the same case for Matchroom in the UK. That like the big that they cannot afford to put the big names on regular Sky and not make it Sky box office, right? You can make that case. So like I understand that point, but I don't think it's a point of them struggling. I think it's a point about the landscape and the market and like it just being a difficult market, right?
Like DAZN coming and paying big money, and now
yes,
when Jesse Vargas is making 1.7, things like that.
Yeah. So for again, within the parameters of the market, PBC has been successful this year. I didn't want them to be. I was one of the first and one of the loudest to be like, hey, I want all these pay-per-views to bomb, but they've been all successful. Every single one. You look across the board to like Top Rank, they haven't been. Their numbers on ESPN have been down. Pay-per-view bomb with Terrence Crawford and Amir Khan. Sorry, Mitty. It's and then with DAZN, let's say with Golden Boy has done really good numbers. Obviously with Canelo. Canelo had a great fight, unified. However, Ryan Garcia is struggling. Oscar De La Hoya is absent. Their third biggest name and third biggest prospect main evented for the first time. He wasn't there. Their biggest name is currently gearing up for a lawsuit against them. So that drops them down on the list for me. Matchroom, while putting on a litany of events, probably putting on maybe the most events out of everyone this year, and some great cards. The Rungsvia Estrada, Doheny, Roman, which we've talked about ad nauseum, but should be talked about ad nauseum because it's that good of a card. They're big names.
Ramirez, hooking up with ESPN to make Hooker Ramirez.
Yep. But however, certain names have lost. Joshua, Dylan White having his PD case. Maurice Hooker losing. So that does drop them down in a way. And on top of that, I will say that the issue that they are presented with their two different markets, with the UK and the US market, and having to navigate that, to me, has led to them facing far more issues than, let's say, PBC navigating Showtime and Fox. Even though it's clear it hasn't been equal with Fox and Showtime, it's been clear that Fox has been successful. So the payoff has been, we're going to sacrifice our Showtime content, but we're going to get it back with our Fox content tenfold, maybe, because let's be honest, the viewership on Fox is drastically different than Showtime, just purely due to the subscriber numbers. So with all that in mind, again, I would say PBC is the most successful this year, and everyone else is struggling more. Not that PBC is not struggling in parts, like the junior middleweight division, for example, but it's clear that other parameters, other criteria, money, events being successful, they've had a great half of the year. They had. And that's really hard to push back on.
Well, and I think the major selling point for that is their pay-per-views being successful, because they've obviously reframed what success looks like on a pay-per-view because of however they've negotiated contracts to get more points from the buys or whatever they've done to make 300,000 seem very successful, whereas a million used to be more of a successful pay-per-view, or 700,000. Now we're in a world where 400,000 buys is a great pay-per-view, and it's very different when you look at the landscape of the UK, because you're doing a $20, $25 pay-per-view. I mean, we would sell a lot more pay-per-views if they were $25 as well. It's no disrespect to UK numbers. I know like Dillian White and Joshua sell a ton of pay-per-views. But in the landscape currently, with Matchroom having a lot of their kind of up-and-coming talent and their top guys losing, Golden Boy going through everything they've gone through with two of their biggest money makers, and then
Frank Warren losing two of his biggest guys to Top Rank and ESPN in a way, or at least one of them to ESPN, Top Rank, one of them to Eddie Hearn and Matchroom.
Correct. And I think Top Rank has had the worst year. I think their cards have been total dog shit.
I agree.
Their numbers are terrible. Their pay-per-views have been gigantic flops. I still don't think they do a great job promoting Crawford. Like, they haven't done enough. They put way more of an investment in Fury, way more, for him to fight the level of shit competition he's fighting, and they have backburnered Crawford. And to me, you should put all your money in Terrence Crawford,
or still Loma. At least those guys are fighting top level competition, right? Like Loma is fighting great competition, I would say, at lightweight so far. Terrence Crawford, while fighting Amir Khan isn't great, like you put that on a paywall of $75. Of course it wasn't going to be great. That should have been an ESPN main event. And then it would have done great numbers. Yep. And then you're just giving your guy a big showcase win over a name that we know. But they don't do that. And I agree. I think the attention to Tyson Fury has been completely misplaced, especially with him fighting Tom Schwartz and Otto Whalen. God, it's been just awful. And again, the TV numbers, their viewerships have been just down across the board drastically from last year. So that is a major concern. They haven't had one card to break over 1 million average viewers on ESPN. That's insane. Well, last year, think about it. Crawford Benavidez did what, 2-point-something million viewers on ESPN? You know, they were having a honestly kind of great year last year. But then again, to Rob's point, last year was a different market, like a different industry. It just was. Like it changed overnight with DAZN and ESPN Plus. It 100% did, and everyone's adjusting to it. And some, while sort of clinging to the pay-per-view model, are highly successful still. Some are trying to advance and innovate with DAZN and ESPN Plus, and they're struggling in the innovation. But that's sort of to be expected in a way because it is new. It's a new paradigm. It's a new model.
Yeah, no, I get you. I don't know that the new model is struggling. I don't know.
I would say it's naturally struggling, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, but I think to me, it surprised me what it has done. To me,
what do you mean by that?
Like DAZN, what they've done in what is it? Basically, next month would be a year, right? When Joshua opened it up with Povetkin in September, right? So,
but when you say done, what do you mean?
Well, just being in the, I don't know, like the biggest upset of the year was on DAZN, and that was like everywhere. Like I think it's on like 13 million views now on the YouTube channel, like, and it was all over the world. And if rumors are correct and reports are correct, they've got like 1.2 million subscribers and all those. I'm surprised at that. I thought it would take longer to get to that kind of stage, and for there to be like cross promotional unifications. And because when it started off, I was maybe trying to do a defensive thing because it was Eddie, maybe a little bit, but it was like Jesse Vargas and Delorme, and it was look, it wasn't like
that was rough.
I mean, I like to watch some boxing, and whether it's the highest level super names, the cream of the fucking sport, or whether it's some guys on the undercard, you know, giving us a good tear up. I kind of like it all. So I'm not like, this is an absolute fucking shit fight. This is a disgrace. This should never have been made. I'm not paying for that. Or it's like, well, I'm like, I've got my Sky subscription. Some of the main cards haven't been fantastic. Like the main events haven't been fantastic, but it's part of my subscription. I'm not calling Sky and say, cancel it for this week. I'm fucking not paying that. I'm going to watch it. Do I maybe not necessarily love it, but it's some boxing on the weekend. I like to watch boxing. So, yeah, you know, it is what it is. But like I said, I think it's not been the greatest year, for the sport in terms of what it was last year. I think that was, I was really excited coming in. Like at the end of 2018, I was like, wow, what's 2019 going to bring? Cannot wait. And to me, I feel like it hasn't quite delivered yet. I know Ruiz has upset Joshua in a big upset, and it's like, wow, you know, I wasn't expecting that. But I think, I don't know. it just seems to be a
I
little bit
understand
lower than last year, in my opinion. So,
I understand what you're saying.
yeah, PBC, like you say, the numbers haven't been like. I mean, let's face it, there isn't many American pay-per-views that hit 1 million. So I don't know where these numbers have got to be somewhere near that for it to be deemed a success. But some of them surprised me. I thought Wilder Fury was going to be better. I know it was like the first time and everything, but I felt it was promoted well. I thought
it was
the whole thing, the press tours, it was a little bit Mayweather McGregor type. I think they tried to copy that in some way, tried to do it Mayweather McGregor style.
Well,
the whole
to that point about you, like, because I agree. I think the promotion for that was amazing, really. But
what would it have done without that?
But to that point, we see that obviously we have Broner Pacquiao as the last Showtime pay-per-view, right? Mm-hmm. And that was in January, right?
Yeah.
So the next month, and that did around 400,000. So you sort of hit that ceiling in a sense, right?
Yeah.
And then they go to Fox with Spence Garcia, a fight that is, I would say, demonstrably worse in terms of a matchup compared to Pacquiao Broner, for God's sake, and Wilder Fury. But it was Fox. It was promoted well. The top number is around over 400,000 pay-per-view buys. That's estimated at. And then we see Pacquiao Thurman did near 500,000. So it just seems that Fox move has been like almost like a death note for Showtime in a way, and it seems pretty obvious.
I know. Yeah. I know it seems like I'm coming at Showtime all the time, but I've genuinely sort of had that concern for Showtime as the months have drawn on. It just seems like what have Showtime really put on this year? One of the worst fights of the year. Wasn't that Robert Easter and Bartholomew or whatever it was?
Oh God! Yeah.
And we've had Javonta against subpar. I know one of them wasn't necessarily his fault; it was his mandatory, wasn't it? Or
yep, that was the last one, and also the only one that really did really good numbers.
Yeah, but
really good.
Fight, again, that was a guy that pulled out. Again, not his fault, but I don't know. It's just made me wonder, like, Showtime executives, like, oh, do we really want to invest in boxing? Everything's going over on Fox. What are we getting this budget for? Yes, we want Wilder, but since the DAZN offer, maybe he's demanding more money, so we can't really afford much else, So I don't know whether it's a concern for. I'm sure people in the know are like, everything's going to be fine. We've got this coming up later in the year. We've got that, or we're going to go into 2020, kicking and screaming with these great fights, and it's all going to be fine. Because they had this before. I think Aficionados, Evan said they had a bleak year one year, and everyone was like, "Oh, Showtime look screwed." They're not, and then they came back swinging the next year, and it was they'd done a really good schedule, and everything was great, but. I don't know. I hear it on the Matchroom side. We've had obviously Belly retire and Brooks coming to the end, obviously, and some of the, I guess, bigger names have either retired or becoming less active and things like that. And the DAZN money is just why are these fighters going to fight here for less when they can go to America and get more? So, but hopefully that's going to change with the new plans they've got in. Hopefully set in place, and they're going to see we're going to see as consumers better fights on a Saturday night on Sky with some of the bigger names. So yeah, it's difficult. Like you say, Top Rank has been the cards have been pretty poor. I wouldn't say Golden Boy have had a fantastic year, really.
Let's be honest, it's Golden Boy, Frank Warren, and Top Rank like battling it out for like who's struggling the most. And Matchroom is doing fine because, let's be honest, the quantity of their stable allows them to float when they're taking losses. Case in point, Fowler losing, AJ losing, White. Like, they're able to keep going with events. They're able to keep going with shows because just they have so many people.
I think Warren in the bracket is difficult because I wouldn't say he's necessarily got like an American side of his. It's very UK centric.
Yeah, but then again, to his UK side, Fury's gone. Even though he may not be officially gone from Frank Warren, he's in the US fighting now officially. non-UK.
He's even said it himself.
Billy Joe Saunders is officially gone, and he was your second biggest name. And now you have Dubois behind them that you're probably hoping everything on, and Anthony Yard. Oh, Josh Warrington.
Really hang a lot of hopes on Yard and Kovalev.
Josh Warrington from a talent perspective, of course, but he can't hold down a promotional company. No offense to Josh Warrington, but like he's not meant to be that.
Could anyone at 126 pounds?
No. Probably not. You're probably it's hard.
Let's be real.
So yeah, it's interesting, but yeah, I'd say obviously PBC and Matchroom are holding it down at the moment for boxing, kind of.
Yeah.
For what, and it's just a shame that those two factions don't like each other, across the board. PBC go, I'm not buying the zone, and kind of the other way around. Well, we don't really get PBC or PBC fights necessarily. Like we get I don't know what this UK deal. It seems to have
Fox. It's like the Fox main cards. That's it.
Yeah, we seem to have. It's all dried up, kind of thing. Unless it's sort of big-ish, we're not getting it. We're not getting regular. I don't know what that deal is with ITV, but
PBC. Hey, if they're smart, they don't try to go to the UK. They have too small of a stable. Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, without getting the services of some big UK names. Because look, Joyce did, or he got with Al Heyman. Now he's signed with BT and Frank Warren. I don't know what happened there. Chris Eubank Jr. signed with it. When did he last fight against DeGale, right?
Yep.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, a while ago. Yep.
So is he going to get a fight? I don't know. Remember all these 168, all the works on PBC. Remember, why is he not getting a fight? I don't know. We'll see. Well, maybe that two is announcing tomorrow.
To be fair, Rob, I don't think anyone's shouting to see Chris Eubank Jr. again.
Why not?
Okay, Rob. Bant, relax. Let's go to callers. Let's go to callers.